Welcome to the Council of Better Business Bureau's podcast, Better Business, Better Series, where we will explore top-of-mind topics with business and industry leaders to understand the leading trends and innovations that continue to push the envelope in today's marketplace.
For the Better Business, Better Series podcast, I'm Will Johnson. May, of course, is the month we turn our thoughts to mothers. And on this Mother's Day episode, we're talking to a mother-daughter team who have built up a thriving fitness and exercise business in Tacoma Park, Maryland. Sue Immerman and Eve Kinney are National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainers. They opened MAD Fitness, that's M-A-D like mother and daughter fitness, in July of 2014. And they offer a range of specialized classes and personal training. They are both with me here today. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Nice to be here.
So I'm really excited to talk to you guys because not every mother and daughter goes into business together, and it's perfect for our Mother's Day episode. So I want to start by talking about what led to your decision to open MAD Fitness. Like I said, not everybody can open a business with a family member. Was that a tough decision, or you guys just jumped into it?
We just jumped.
Yeah, we just went for it.
Had you been talking about this idea for a while, or what sort of led to it? I mean, one day you woke up and said, hey, let's start a business together?
Well, so we were both already working as personal trainers at a gym. And we weren't exactly happy with our situation there. And we wanted to give our clients a better experience.
Like more of a one-on-one kind of
Yeah.
deal. You worked at like a
big
chain
box gym.
kind of,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we wanted to give them just a better experience with customer service, with the actual gym that they were at, and one-on-one. And we just said, let's do it.
And Sue, you're the mother. I should clear that up, by the way, for our listeners, and Eve is the daughter. Were one of you in this business first as a personal trainer?
Yeah, I started working as a personal trainer in 2007, about 5 years ahead of Eve. And one of the reasons that I decided that it would be good to start a business away from the gym that I was working at was because a lot of my clients didn't really like being in a big box gym, and there were other people who said they'd love to train with me, but they weren't going to come into a gym to train. So I knew there was another experience that people wanted to have in working with me, and they also didn't want to drive to their gym, so it made sense to just open up separately. So that was in my mind already, but when Eve was ready to jump, we just jumped.
Had you started a small business before in your life?
I had two other businesses.
We'll have to have you back on to talk about starting small businesses outside of Mother's Day, but go ahead.
I had two other businesses. I had a cabinet making business for years, and I ran sports camps for many years. So,
right.
But both of these businesses were very different than what we took on.
But you had some background and experience in being able to manage, say, a spreadsheet or maybe a couple employees or enough to sort of feel like you weren't doing this fresh off the ground.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
Right. So let's talk about early challenges. And you opened, what year was it that you opened MAD Fitness? Was that the same year? You mentioned 2007 and maybe...
MAD Fitness opened 2013.
13 years later. Okay.
Yeah.
And as you got going, were there challenges that you confronted that you couldn't see coming or that you knew would be coming? What was that like? Eve?
Yes. One of the big challenges was opening up... making a business plan that we could send to a bank to get funding.
That matters.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had no experience in owning a business or writing a business plan except for one class I took at Maryland about farming and it ended up. So we had to send financials and had to be on top of all of that in a very it's a formal way of doing business that we were not accustomed to. As personal trainers, you run your own business, but it's not on that level.
So important to understand that matters and the business plan matters, whether you're looking for a loan or not, but you need to get it down. And did you look at other business plans or get some help with that or sort of just wade your way through it?
Yeah, there's a mixture of it. I actually used the template from my farming and agriculture class at Maryland.
See, college education matters.
Right, it does. I never thought that would be important, but we used that. We also used Small Business Administration. SBA. Use SBA.
Oh, good.
They had
Okay.
templates.
And so you got the loan.
We got the loan.
We
got
did.
what you needed.
We got the loan.
All right. And do you work in Excel at all these days or you try to steer clear? Oh, you do? Okay.
Excel.
All right. And
We
you,
work
Sue?
at
Okay.
definitely working in Excel, which our accountant would like us to do otherwise and use Quicken, but we do work in Excel.
Yeah.
I have to say that Eve's knowledge from that farming class she took saved us, because all of my work in my businesses, I didn't have to be accountable to anybody but staying in the black. And so when it came to filling out this paperwork for banks, and I just had no idea how to make a business plan, her farming class saved us.
Go to college, kids. Go to college if that's what you think you want to get into, a business of some type. So that's really interesting. And you mentioned accountability, and maybe if I can sidetrack quickly, I guess do you keep each other accountable in that sense, in terms of showing up, teaching classes, making sure the business is going well?
Yeah.
It's harder by yourself, maybe.
Yes, it's much harder by yourself. And the fact that she's going to be there every day, and she'll also be watching what I'm doing, because we're our own bosses, but, she's my partner. So I want her to feel comfortable with what I'm doing and vice versa.
I agree with that. And we also learn from each other.
But she's also your mom. So does she have to, I don't want to get too personal.
No,
but
go for it.
Can you be a mom also and be a business partner? Clearly you're doing that.
Yeah.
Must have some challenges.
It's a little challenging sometimes. Sorry, you can go.
No, go ahead.
This happens. But, sometimes it's hard to separate the business from family.
Sure.
So we'll be out to dinner at just a family dinner, and the business will come up, and we'll just, be going on about what we need to do, what we need to fix. Also, my father does some of the engineering stuff in the studio, like hanging things. So he's in it too. So it's almost all business all the time. So that can be hard sometimes.
I can't imagine. There are a lot of family-run businesses out there, whether it's restaurants or farms or, whatever you're doing. And, it's a unique set of things I guess you have to learn along the way.
Right.
Well, if I can just
yes,
add
please
quickly
do.
to that. It's been really important not to have a mom-daughter relationship here. And I think because of my relationship with my kids, where I don't just see them as my kids, I see them as my equals, that was extremely important in the beginning. I don't know that it always felt like that way to my daughter, but I always saw her as my equal in this. And that made a tremendous difference. I've seen family businesses that do not run well. I've sat in the middle of their conversations, and it's a great don't go there reminder for me.
What a cool mom.
Yeah,
and
you're
you're older now.
Yeah.
You're not 15.
No.
So you had gotten her out into the world and got her to that farming class at University of Maryland.
Right.
So we sort of talked about growth, and let's talk about changes in the business over time. What's made it successful? What lessons have you learned along the way? And you have been successful, right? You've really built up your clientele. You have a new location just down the street from your old one, but it's beautiful. And tell us about that a little bit. Growth and success.
Growth and success. Well, because we've always approached this as what are we doing next, and just taking our ideas and running with them. That's been our template for planning growth. Is we sit down and say, what aren't we doing? What are we not getting from people? Why aren't people doing this? Why aren't people doing that? What do they want? And we just try to be very responsive to that. And again, we just jump into everything, which sometimes, isn't the best thing. But then we regroup and figure it out. So we try to be very responsive to people and their ideas. We try to be very open. And then we go with our guts a lot.
Yeah.
Do you guys sit down and have a meeting? Or you talk enough about it that you don't need to?
Yeah, we need to have more meetings.
Right.
Let me tell you that.
Okay.
We've been trying to put it on the books. The hard thing right now with us is that our schedules are completely opposite. So I work early, she works in the middle of the day. We both work late. So it's our off time, when we're supposed to be taking a break.
You need a break.
Right, we need a break, would be full of business talk.
But it's fair to say you're both very busy because you're up early. Both of you are training. You're not just business owners, but you're hands-on with your clients.
Yeah, 8 hours of either class or personal training plus running the business.
You're open 7 days a week?
No. We are. I just took my second day of a weekend. I started to do that. So I've been working 6 days a week, and now I just started doing.
Right. So how do you how do you market a small business like Mad Fitness as a small business? It's a small community in Maryland. People have so many options when it comes to getting or staying healthy. You talked about people wanting not to go to a big box gym. How do you go about bringing in new clients?
Well, one thing that we rely upon is our local business association has a weekly outreach to the community that's shared by a lot of people, and we make sure that they know what we're doing so that they can broadcast that weekly. We do a lot of social media.
Yeah.
word of mouth is really the most important thing for us because there's a lot of fatigue around social media.
How do you mean? That's interesting.
Fatigue around social media?
Yeah, just it's so much and too much, and it's okay.
It's so much and it's too much.
People leaving Facebook or not wanting to scroll through Instagram every day, even though it's still obviously a big deal. But
that's right.
You're sensing that.
Absolutely, absolutely, and people are turning away from that. It's just too much coming in their mailbox, which is also another issue because we use shout outs, we use different email connections, and a lot of them bounce back. So we always have to figure out another way to get through, and that's pretty complicated. The word of mouth thing and having free first classes is extremely important. Again, we build community. That's what we're doing. And so in building community, people say, hey, I'm doing this thing, at 9 o'clock after I drop my kids off in the morning, and they bring in their friends, and then the friends bring in friends. So that's been huge.
Right. And the first free class, so we give out some free stuff, and we say you can come and try it, see if you like it before you buy a whole package.
Yeah.
And most of the time they like it.
And owning a business like this is also so unique in that you're that word of mouth and being able to connect to people, you are changing lives. It could be a small business where you're selling something, and not that couldn't change lives as well, but you're really talking about health and well-being and happiness and personal happiness and growth and all of that, right?
That's exactly right. And the other thing that we do that's in line with all of that, we are very community oriented, and we always have been. So there are a lot of nonprofits, there are a lot of schools, there are a lot of different people having auctions. And we always love to contribute to those things. We either sponsor or we donate free classes, free personal training assessments, things like that. And that's another great way to get your name out.
I mean, you're not the only game in town, and you guys clearly know that. And there's lots of options, like I said at the beginning, but you offer something that's unique and has your personal connection. I think there's a lot that you're doing that is unique to what you offer because of who you are.
Well, that's exactly right. And that's how we market ourselves. And that's how we're known, as being really different than everybody else.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone starting a new business from scratch? And because of this unique experience of being a mother-daughter team, what about advice for opening up a family-run business? We talked about that a little bit, but you mentioned treating her as an equal, so treating Eve as an equal.
I would say, starting with the very family nature of our business, that you need to remember that even though you're family, you have to treat each other as if you're in a business, as you would treat a colleague. You want to be clear with each other. You want to be kind. You don't want to read each other's faces and look for nuances.
Right. We have that a lot.
You don't want to harken back to when somebody was 10 and somebody was 30 or whatever else. You have to be in the present.
It's tough. That's hard.
It's extremely important.
You're right, though, because, in the office, typically, or in corporate scenarios, you can't, yell at someone without, maybe getting fired or disciplined. But your mom or your daughter, it might be a lot easier to go there.
Well, you have to remember all the time there's a reason you got together with this person to do this. And so you respected them enough to do it in the first place, so you have to continue to treat them with respect.
Right, and it's kind of the same thing as with a colleague. You have personal relationships with people, and some days you just need to step back and walk away from them and come back the next day. Sometimes we'll have a little bit of a spat. Is that the right word? We'll have a spat. Disagreement. And I'll leave the studio because I'm already going to leave, and she's still there, and I'll type her a little text that says, "That's not what I meant." I try to clarify and really communicate with her so she knows how I was actually feeling, even if the words that came out of my mouth weren't exactly right.
It's this is a weird way to put it, but any relationship, like a marriage or a business with a mother and a daughter, or more family members or a brother and sister, you have to. The business thing brings in a whole new set of stuff.
Right.
That changes all that.
Yeah, right. And checking yourself is a really important thing to do. This is a little off topic.
Good. It's good.
I sometimes watch Kitchen Nightmares.
Okay.
Have you ever seen that show?
Yes, with Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay. And there's a lot of family-owned restaurants out there.
Right.
And you see their relationships and how messed up those relationships get. And most of the time I see the kids being really... The children are sometimes lazy. Sometimes the parents are being parents. But sometimes it's it gives me get back on it, Eve.
This is how not to do it.
This is how not to do it. Yeah.
Right.
Which is sometimes a good reminder.
Yeah.
When you're not feeling it.
So watch TV.
Every day. Watch TV.
Exercise a lot and then
exercise
take
and
a
watch
break.
TV.
Sure. All right.
Yeah. if we don't think exactly about a family business and what we think are important things, you have to roll with the punches. Yeah. You don't quit. You don't throw in the towel. You have to know that this is what you made a decision to do, and that it's not always going to be easy. It's going to be pretty challenging. Know that it's going to get hard like that. But if you have a passion, if you have a reason you're doing this, that you're going to hang in with that.
Right. Put the negative things behind you and just keep on going.
And that easier said than done, but you've been able to do that. And is there a method to that? Must just be lifelong learning, I guess, being able to roll with the punches.
You know what? It is lifelong learning, and that's probably one of the places that we didn't even mention about mother and daughter kind of thing. I mean, I'm 64 years old, and I've been through a lot in my life, and so I definitely don't approach things the way I would have at 20, 30, 40, even 50, you know? And so having the ability to say, we got to move on, we got to roll with it, we're growing from this experience. Yeah. You got to put a positive sheen on anything, or as much as you possibly can. And on the flip side, you learn something from having a younger person being able to offer her point of view on it. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You know, and we deal with different generations too. So that although she doesn't just deal with young people and I with that doesn't happen at all. We really mix it up, but our approaches can be different. And again, sometimes they kind of come together, because we just see each other doing things and you just pick things up from other people. But sometimes they're very different, and people choose to work with one of us and not the other, because we do solve problems differently. Yeah. So I think it's really admirable what you guys have been able to do and grow your business and keep moving forward, and you have a new space. I have to admit, I live in the area, and for a long time I didn't know that MAD Fitness meant mother and daughter fitness, but maybe I'm not the only one.
No, you're not the only one.
But I love the title, and you know, once you figure it out, it's like an extra little cherry.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Eve. It's Mother's Day. Yeah. Do you have something to say to your mom on Mother's Day, or it's just recently been Mother's Day?
Yeah. I'd like to say that I really appreciate you, Mom. I love going to work, not every day, but most days. And I mean, before this, we were close, and we're closer than ever. And it's just awesome to be able to want to hang out with my mom most days, and then to also be able to be in a business together and still love each other. So I love you. Happy Mother's Day. There you go. Well done, Eve. I was worried I'd be putting you on the spot too much, but you're prepared. Yeah. All right. Thanks again for both of you coming. Thank you. Thank you for having us. This is great. And remember those farm classes if you're listening out there and you want to know how to do a business plan. Eve Kinney and Sue Immerman are from Mad Fitness in Tacoma Park, Maryland. You can learn more about the business at www.madfitness.us. All right, there you go. If you'd like to learn more about the Better Business Bureau, visit us at bbb.org. For the Better Business, Better Series podcast, I'm Will Johnson.
You just enjoyed Better Business, Better Series podcast. Be sure to tune in next month for a brand new episode. To learn more about our other shows, visit betterbusiness.blueberry.com. That's betterbusiness.blueberry.com, and subscribe. The thoughts and opinions expressed on this podcast are the views and opinions of the guests, not those of the Better Business Bureau, Council of Better Business Bureaus, or program affiliates. This podcast is for information and educational purposes only and is copyrighted with all rights reserved. This podcast is protected by Blueberry's Terms of Service.